Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible? Am I audible? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so today in the morning, I discussed about bin life cycle, and we said that bins are the backbone of any application, as the objects are the backbone. And Spring IOC objects are being mapped using the bin tag, right? So we discussed in the morning that in a bin life cycle, as we are going to use the Pojo class, there will be init and destroy method. Along with that, we said bin lifecycle methods can be mentioned inside your XML configuration file. You can give any name, that will be your configuration file, which where we can mention the creation and creation the object and wiring of that object with another object. Along with that, we discussed that at times there could be bin within bin. We call it inner bin. And we have seen an example where payment gateway is a class which needs the order object in it in order to have the order processing. And we discussed that when we have inner bin, we can go with the constructor argument based method, right? Because in payment gateway class, order was given as an argument of constructor of payment gateway. So that what we have mentioned over here. Then we have wrote a main app and we have called the order process method, which give you this output. Along with that, we discussed that alias is second name given to the bin. Major purpose is to increase the readability. And we discussed bin scope. We said the default scope is singleton and bin scope uh, inside the XML configuration file. You can mention the scope attribute and there could be any one of these five possible values. Then we say the scope can also be given using the annotations, so we can use at the rate and annotations. Fine. And when you are using the annotations, we need to mention the base package. We have base package which we mentioned here, and we are having context colon component scan. So it will scan all the bin classes, right? And we started a bit about AOP. Fine. So let me discuss this thing freshly with the AOP. When I say AOP, AOP stands for Aspect Oriented Programming, which is a paradigm through which you can develop your software. So when I'm saying we're adopting an approach, there is meaning behind it, right? For example, you learn that your C and C++ are more about the functions, and that's why we said C and C++ are as well. C and C++ are focusing on the module in the terms of functions. Fine. Similar way, when we have uh, when we have Java, we say the modularization unit is class. We divide entire applications into the class, and with the help of object, we access the methods. The way functions related or function oriented methodology is known as procedure oriented programming, right, where we focus on more on how to do the things. So algorithm is in the center, right? And when I'm saying object oriented programming, right, when I'm saying object oriented programming, we are focusing on what to manage, not on how to manage, right? So your object is in the center. So these are called the paradigm or the methodology, right? Now we are talking about third type of paradigm, which is known as aspect oriented programming. And if you recall, in the first initial lectures of Spring, we said that aspect is the module, aspect and aspect oriented programming is the module of your Spring. So let us discuss what is that. First of all, to understand the concept, you should understand meaning of the word. So when I'm saying aspect, the meaning is one of the qualities or part of a situation. right? When you're having an idea or a problem, what you do is you try to change it, right? So it's a kind of thought, idea, or you can say point of view, right? So that is what the aspect means. Now when I say aspect oriented programming, it complements the object oriented programming. Today in the morning I said in TC1 that complements means to give something additional to the existing thing. For example, if you're going to a very good restaurant, you are going there and you have planned for dinner, but when you go there they give you the complimentary drink, right? So that complimentary thing is something which complements the existing thing, right? So similar way, when I'm saying aspect oriented programming, it complements the object oriented programming by thinking the new way of your program structure. Over here, the key module of OOP is the class, POP is the class, sorry, object oriented programming is the class, whereas in AOP, the unit of modularization is aspect. It means that we are going to divide the entire software in the terms of aspects, whereas in OOP, we divide it into the class. These aspects enable the modularization with the various concern, because when you are having any software, you are trying to manage the transaction. Sometimes it is coming through the multiple types and you are just mapping those objects, and you are having the new technology. For example, something which is different than your existing technology. So, for example, your Java program needs to map to your database. So this is a kind of cross-cutting culture concern, right? We call it as a cross-cutting, right? When you cut across multiple types and objects in order to have the transaction management. One of the key components of Spring is known as AOP, right? But your IOC does not depend on AOP. So when I'm saying IOC, I'm talking about dependency injection, where we are interested in how one module can be dependent on another one. That's what the IOC DI means. And when I say AOP, it not at all dependent on IOC controller. So it's like if you don't want to use AOP, it's okay, you can just ignore, because AOP is complements the IOC, and it is like a capable middleware solution. So you are like you can go with either one, you can go with the IOC or you can go with the AOP, right? Because they are not dependent on each other as well. When I say AOP, it provides the declarative enterprise service. When I say declarative, it means there is huge support in the terms of the documentation and all is available and you can use it. AOP also allows user to implement the custom aspects, and you can complementing the use of OOP with the AOP. Basically, when as I said in the morning, that these modern applications or modern tools are having too much discussion, and at last you will have code of 3 to 4 lines. So don't hesitate to ask the question if you have any doubt in between. So now let me clear what are the concepts which are related to AOP. The first and very first term which we have to clear is aspect. We will see like what is aspect. Actually, when you say we are developing the software, the major thing is dividing that software into the different module, which we call modularization. And aspects is in an AOP. Basically, when you say you have an aspect, you are talking about a class. You're talking about a class, right? So aspect is a modularization concern that cuts across the multiple classes. That cuts across the multiple classes. So in transaction management, when you're using transaction management, right? I guess my screen share has gone. So I was talking about aspect. I said basically aspect is a small class, right? Aspect is a class which cut across the multiple layer. It means that a class object which will be used at the multiple layer, we call it as an aspect, right? So you can implement this aspect in Spring either using the regular classes, right? Using the regular classes, which is a kind of the way we have developed up till now. We call it as a schema based approach, where we are going to develop our class the way we write the class name, methods, and data members and all. Or you can go with the annotations, where you have to write at the rate aspect annotation in the aspect J style. So if I summarize this discussion, in short, aspect is a class. It's a class. Fine. Now we have another thing which is join point, right? So join point during it comes like during the execution of a program. So when something is executing, either it would be a method or it could be some exception, a code which is handling the exception. So something which is in execution at a point during the program is running, you call it as a join point, right? So usually in AOP, join point means a running method, right? Now when we have a method, at times we want to do something before method execution or after method execution. So when I say advise, usually advice is an action taken by an aspect before a particular join point. It means that when you are executing a particular method in a class, right, in a class, and you are doing something, then we will call it as a before advice. So the action which we do before the method execution is known as the action. So in there are AOP is just a programming style. So there are many AOP frameworks. So Spring is also one of those framework. I'm not saying Spring is the only framework, but Spring is also one of those frameworks. So including Spring model, we have advice as an interceptor, and when I say interceptor, which means which maintain the chain of the the methods which are in execution. So if you have entire chain, you can call it as an interceptor. As well, we have point cut. Point cut predicate that matches the join points. Usually, the advice which are associated with the point cut expression, we call it as a point cut, right? So usually, when I say I'm having a class and I'm having a method which is running in it, right? So the method which runs with a certain name, right? It is coming from a flow from somewhere in your software. At that time, we call it as a point cut, right? So point cut is an expression language. So you have expect J point cut expression language, and we can use it in our code. As well, we have introduction. When I say introduction, it means the declaration of any additional variable or methods, right? If you have any field on behalf of a type, or if any methods you want to declare newly, then you can have the introduction. The one which are already defined, it is there in the aspect, but the one which was not there in the aspect class and now you want to add it, you call it as an introduction. Fine. So AOP allows you to introduce new interface and its implementation in any advised object. So for example, you can use introduction to make a bin implemented and modified interface. You can have your own way to simplify the caching. You can go with the the caching of changing the way caching is being done in the Spring and all. As well, we have target object. The target object is the object being as advised. right? By one or more aspects. So it means that if there is an object which is being wired up with many objects, we refer it as an advised object. Fine. I'll show you the entire thing, so don't worry about that. Right? Right? And what is happening when you have a target object? The runtime, the objects will be mapped with each other. And when you are using certain runtime mapping or wiring of such object, we call it as a proxies. Right? So this object will always be treated as a proxy object. So what is AOP proxy? So say an object which is created by AOP framework in order to implement the aspect contracts, right? That is a method or a method execution or code which is handling the exception. We call it as an AOP proxies. Along with that, there's a last but not the least term which we call weaving. Weaving. If you have heard ever, your grandmother or your granny would have made a sweater for you. And when we say sweater, any woolen cloth, we have weaving, where we are creating the threads in a particular structured way, and we link them with each other. So here also, weaving means linking the aspect which with other application types or object, right, in order to create the advised object. Fine. So this can be done. Weaving is how your objects are connected with each other, right? In IOC, we call it as a dependency among the modules. Now we are saying it's not dependency, but it is how they are connected with each other. And in and somehow we are talking this about the dependency only. So weaving is how you can wire the objects together, how you can link them together. Fine. So this can be done compile time using a Aspect-G compiler, or load time when your class is being loaded in the memory, or at the runtime. That depends what is the need of an application. Based on that, either compile time, runtime, or load time, you can have the weaving, which is connection between the objects. Fine, right? But Spring is an AOP which is developed using pure Java. And when I say pure Java, it means it strictly follows all everything in the terms of class and object only. There is no individual methods, right? Right? So we call such thing or such situation the pure Java uh, developed frameworks will do the weaving at the runtime, right? We call it as a late binding also. Up till now, anyone having any doubt or question, don't afraid. What I'm saying is aspect is a class, joint point is method in execution. Any method which is executing before this method, before join point, is advice. Point cut is joins two points. It joins the points. It means if you're having any third party thing, you can join it. Introduction, a point cut is from your application to some other applications. Introduction, it means the new addition of the method or a data variable which is filled. Target object is the object being advised or the object which is being used by more than one class. Proxy, which is to implement the aspect contracts, and weaving is linking the classes with each other at the runtime, as Spring AOP is developed using pure Java. Are we clear? Are we clear?
Clear.
Okay. Now we are discussing one more concept of AOP, which says types of address advices. So as I said, do you recall the filters? Filters of Servlet? What is Servlet? I mean, what is filter in Servlet? What is filter in the Servlet? Pranav is saying request will go to the filter first, then after servlet, right? So then first to the filter and then to the servlet. So this is you can relate to your before advice, right? So what is before advice? Advice that executes before a join point, right? But it does not have to do any ability, it does not prevent the flow of the execution, right? right right As well, we have after returning advice. After returning advice is the code which will be executed after a join point, right? In the case if some execution is happening normally, at that time if a method returns without a throwing an exception, we call it as an after advice. As well, we have after throwing advice. So return, we know it will be without exception, normal execution. Throw, we know that when we have an exception, at that time we will have throw, right? So we say after throwing advice, which is advice or the code to be executed if method exists, exiting, it is not progressing by throwing an exception. After, or you can say the finally advice, is the advice which will be executed no matter whether the code is successfully executed or it has terminated due to the exception. It is like your try, catch, and finally block. Do you recall that? It's like try, if it is successing, it will execute. Catch, if exception is there, it will go there. And if you say final, right? So in the final block, it will be executed no matter whether it's normal or exceptional return. Around advice, that is the code which is surround around the join points, such as the method invocation, and at that time you want to do something when you are calling a method, you can call it as an around advice. So this will be done when you want to have the custom behavior before and after a method invocation. At that time you can go with this. As so this is about the types of your advices and all. So if you look at the uh, just a second, if you look at this, if I want to implement this, right, and Spring AOP, this is your practical 2 Spring AOP. Look at here. I have created a Spring application. This is a simple application which I have created. We have source package and a default package. Before that, when you want to go with this, you need the jar. You need to have the AOP jar with you. In Spring, it is not being given directly. So what you can do is you can add it. You have to add those jars externally. Fine. So here are the jar files. Can you see this AOP and core jar? This is AOP. These are the AOP jars.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So you need to add it externally. So how we will add is, we know that when we are adding it externally, what we will do is we'll go to the library, we'll right click, and instead of second option, up till now you were going with the second option for built-in library, but something external, you will go with the third option. Right? Open it, do the control A, select all, and click on open. It will add all the aspect in your code. Now, let us understand what is this. I have an aspect J, which is having a method M, right? We are printing just simply actual business logic, right? Actual business logic. Now, what I want is, I want that when this method M is being called, right? When this method M is being called, before this, I should call some code. So this is called before advice, right? So in Spring AOP, before advice is a class. Can you see that? Can you see here? org.springframework.aop.method before advice. So my class, public class before advisor, implements this method before advise interface. And method before advice is having a built-in method which is called before, right? So public void before, I'm overriding it. We have method, then object, and the target object throws the throwable. So we say that additional concern before business logic. So this is my advice before advice. Now, as we are working with the Spring, we have to have the XML file, and we said application context where I have mentioned all the bins. So you can see I said I have a bin which is named as OBJ, right? This OBJ bin is, I created bin ID OBJ, which is talking about class A. Just a second. Right? As well, I have another class. As well, I have another class which is talking about before advice. So I'm adding one more bin. I'm adding one more bin, and we call it as an before advise, before advisor, right? Before advisor is a uh, implementation of before advice interface, right? Right? So just a second, guys. Are you seeing my screen, everyone? Is it visible? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see the code also? Yes
Yes,
or no?
ma'am.
Okay. That's strange because I have been disconnected from my.
No, it is top uh, at
Yeah,
one
because
point.
I was disconnected. Just a second. I'm disconnected from my mobile. Can you see it now? I guess yes, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm talking about aspect J. So I said before advisor is my class, right? Which I have implemented using method before advice interface, right? Before advisor, which is having built-in method before which we have overridden and we have given a simple message. Now, I have given a bin name to that. So in my application context, which is there in the default package, we have given those concerns here. ID bin ID OBJ talks about the aspect A. Bin ID BA talks about the class before advisor. And now we are talking about the bin ID, which is proxy. As we said that proxy is the object which around which the other objects are involved, or the one which is connected with multiple classes or multiple bins, we call it as a proxy. So here proxy is the class org.springframework.aop.framework.proxy factory bin. We are giving the ID proxy, right? And now we are talking about this proxy is talking about which class. So we say that property, and we say name is equal to target, and it is referring to the object which is class aspect A. And then I said we have interceptor, as we said, interceptor is the one which comes in between, or it could be like any advice before, after, during the exception, or during the finally situation. So we said the property name is interceptor names, and we are giving the list. It could be multiple also many times. Right now we have only before advisor. Suppose you have implemented one more class, right, and which is after advisor. So you can give an id, and you can create a class after advisor, which will be executed after the method of the main bin has been, or aspect a has been included. In that case, in list you can again have the values. You can add more listing over here. Fine, fine, right? So here it will go not there. We'll have the value, and we'll say EE. Fine. So we can keep on increasing. Right now we have not implemented, so we are not writing it. Right. So this will interrupt the normal execution, and it will go there. Now this is my application context.xml, aspect A having method M, right? And we said it's an if you recall everything, like the terminologies which you have learned before few minutes, these terminologies are nothing but the normal, your classes and methods. So you can see here we said aspect is a class, regular class. Fine, right? And now I'm saying join point. So join point is method in execution. So in our case, method M is the join point, right? Now we have a test class, which is our main application class because it is having the main method, right? We have written org.spring framework.bins.bin factory, and we have XML bin factory, class path resource, IO resource, etc. We have written public class test having public static void main. We are saying resource are equal to new class path resource, which is your application context.xml path, XML file. You are specifying what it is, right? And now you're creating an bin factory object. You said bin factory is equal to new XML bin factory, where you are talking about application context.r represented as resource. Now I'm creating an object of aspect A. So I said A is equal to factory.getBin. I'm trying to get the bin which is named as proxy. So if you look at here, the proxy bin is the object of the proxy factory bin class, which is there in the org.springframework.aop.framework. It's a built-in class in Spring AOP framework. Now we are loading it as well. We have to talk about the main aspect, which is A, right? So we are writing class to load. We are loading the class file, which is a.class, and now I'm calling a method a.m. So this is join point. This is join point. M is the method which is in execution. So can anyone predict the output? What will be the output? Here a.m is calling the aspect A method M. If you look at the application context, it says that the proxy object is talking about the reference object, which is class A, and we have an interceptor over here, which is before advice. And in before advice, we have implemented the method before, which says addition concern before actual logic. So what will be the output when I call the a.m method? Anyone having any idea? You see here, this is a dot m. So it will call the method m from the aspect A. It says this is the actual business logic. But in application context, we said we have wired the interceptor before advisor, which says additional concern before advisor, before the actual business logic. So that method will be invoked first. So here is the output, additional concern before actual business logic, and actual business logic is the another output, another line. Fine. This is aspect oriented programming. Though I have tried not to take a complicated example, otherwise you will be confused. So very small example I have taken over here. Are you getting the point, everyone? Should I move forward? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm going to discuss about the transactions which are available in the we are moving to the next topic, which is about database transaction management. Now, database transaction we have already learned many times, because I feel this syllabus is talking more about the data, because when I say website, it is ultimately managing your data. Fine. So when I say transaction in the Spring, there is a comprehensive or very good support of transaction is provided in Spring framework, and it provides in a very abstract way the transaction management. And as we learn in the starting of this chapter that there are templates provided by the Spring framework, which is allowing you to use the inbuilt functionality or whatever methods we can just avoid to take it from the repetitive step or common code that we can avoid, and we can use those transaction template. So here are the following benefits when you will use this transaction management related functionality using Spring. The advantage number one, we have consistent programming model. So even if you are using the different transaction API such as JDBC, JTA, JDO, Java Data Access Object, and JPA, Java Persistent API, or Hibernate, there is a consistent model. You do not have to worry what is in background, because it implements in a very abstract way. So if you have basic knowledge of database connectivity, you can easily do the coding in Spring. As well, Spring provides the support for declarative transactions. So you can have your own transaction, you can declare transaction, and you can manage with the code. As well, the template is also there, right? So templates are already there and you can reuse it. As well, it provides the simple API for programmatic transaction to then the complex transaction API such as JTA. So JTA is also used for the transaction, but it's a bit complex, right? As well, it is having the excellent integration with Spring's data access abstractions. Though this is just a theory which talks about the benefits of transaction management, if you are doing with the uh, Spring, what I want is, I have chosen a example which could be which you can understand, I hope, because I have made it bit to look like a transaction. I have two table, student table. Let me show you. I have two table, one is table student and one is stud marks table. Now what I'm doing is, I have a student table with the primary key. SID is my primary key. So if you look at in the MU database, I have a table student Look at the structure. I have ID as a primary key, which is auto increment. I have S name, student name, which is given in a var character. Can you see the structure? Yeah, fine. And I have taken age of the student, which is an integer. Now, when student entry is being done, when I'm creating an student object, I am doing the entry in this table. Fine. So if you browse right now, I have 6 entries, right? 1 Taru, age 18, 2 Anika, 16, 4 Zara, 11, 5 Nuha, 20, 6 Ayan, 25. Now what I'm doing is I have another table marks. Now understand the scenario. When I say transaction, transaction is about multiple DML table together, right? So here what I have done is my transaction start and I'm going to make an entry. I'm going to insert in student table, right? Now I have another table which is marks, and marks table is holding the marks and year of the exam. So if you look at the structure, I have taken marks and year of the exam. So you can consider SID is somehow, you can consider it's a foreign key. It's a foreign key. So what does it mean? When I'm going to do entry for a single object, this is happens, right? Student is my object. Student is my object. So you look at here, I have in default package, I have student marks class, which is my Pojo, which is my Pojo. Can you see this? We know that a student will have integer age, string name, integer ID, integer marks, integer year, and integer SID. And for all these 6, I am having getter and setter method. Fine. So now all this thing needs to be mapped with my database table, and if you look at my database table, I have a structure like marks table is having the column SID, marks and YR, which is year, and student table is having the structure which is ID, S name and age. So all the name or all the data properties here, S name is mapped with the name, right? Year is mapped with the YR, age is mapped with the age, marks is mapped with the marks, right? So I need to have certain mapping. So when you are using string AOP, you will have a Pojo class. Here student marks.java is an Pojo class. Then we can have an mapper class. We can have the mapper class. What mapper class does? Row mapper will map a particular Pojo class. Our Pojo class is student marks, having the all the data members and property related to student, and the you can say getter and setter method. So I'm saying that this Pojo class, all the data property needs to be mapped with your student class. I mean with your database table. So I'm saying I created a marks mapper, public class student marks mapper implements row mapper. So row mapper is JD from the jdbc.core. It is from Spring org.springframework.jdbc.core.row framework, and row framework maps the Pojo class data variable with your data table column. So here we have taken a student marks and we made a method. This is method. Method is map row, and map row returns an object of Pojo class. Object of Pojo class. So I'm setting or I'm mapping all the members or the column of both the tables, student and marks table, both the tables with the Pojo class student marks. Is it clear? So map row is that, and it is returning me the student marks. Everyone, are you clear with that? Yes or no? Yes or no? Should I show you the
Yes,
code?
ma'am.
Okay. This is my DAO. This is what many student has done in the project. They have tried to get the online project and then they are not able to understand what is going on. Actually, in real life application, we will have an interface which will describe your data access object. So when I'm saying student DAO, I'm talking about student data access object, which could revolve around the object student. So you can declare all the methods. For example, for student, you need set data source, which table, which database, what is the driver name, what is the data server name, what is the password. So you can mention that. You can initialize the method to set the database resources such as connection related data properties. You can set using set data source. Fine. So in java x.sql we have a data source. We can pass that object over here. Fine. Okay, now you see we have another method which is create. Now mind well, now understand, when I'm going to so there are two methods: create, which will add the entry in the database, and list student, which will read. So here we will pass the select query, select star from the student, and when I'm doing the create, I will have insert. Now you see, to create a record, I need to enter name, age, marks, and an integer year. Look at here. The scenario is I'm saying that I have ID as a primary key, which is auto increment in student table. It means that while doing the insert for student, first I have to do insert of name and age, which is in the student table, student table. When I will do this, as the primary key id is auto incremented, value will be generated. Now I'm saying that a single object insertion is a transaction, because it does the entry into the two table. You have to enter in the marks table also, where you are taking SID. Actually, SID is the foreign key which is having the value of ID column. And we have marks and we have year. Fine. So what is the ultimate logic? The transaction will end when we have successfully added in both the records. Together it has to be ended. Here transaction starts. First you make entry in the student table by taking two column value. Whatever has been entered, its primary key we need to take. Can anyone tell me the query to take that value? How can we take that value? Do you know any query? Are you getting what I'm asking is?
Request.get attribute.
No, I'm asking about the query which we write here. For example, you see what I'm writing is I'm saying insert into student, right? Right, and I'll give the name as name and I'll give age, right? And I'll give the values. And let me give the name of Anand, right? And I'm giving some age, 20. And I run this. So now first name entry is done for the Anand. And if you browse, it is having the ID 7. Now if I browse the marks table, there is no entry for 7 number. So I need to insert this. So how I can then take the value of select? How I can take the value of select? Any idea? Are you getting the point? I'm saying I have to write insert into marks, and I want to enter SID, marks, and year, right? And I have to give certain values. So I want to read that 7. How will I read that 7? Here I have to put 7, but it has to come through the programming. Can you tell me the query? which will give me the 7, which will return me 7. Have you learned your database properly? No idea. Select. Have you learned the aggregated function?
Yes, ma'am.
Select max ID from the student. What it will return you? Can you see here? 7. Can you see this? 7 has been returned,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So what is the entire thing? How you can implement this transaction? You see now this is transaction. Transaction starts here. You will insert in student table. You will give 2 input, name and age. Primary key is auto incremented, so it will be generated. And now you will read that primary key, right, by writing the query. Select max ID from student, and whatever is returned, that integer value, right, you will give as an SID in the next insert. Fine? Fine. So this is what we can do with that. And if you look here, this is my student DAO, which is data access object. It's an interface which specifies the method. So we are going to implement 3 methods. Set data source to have database related configuration, create to have the insert in both the tables, and list to have the listing of all the students, which is your select query. So we can go with, now understand the classes. We have marks, student marks, which is Pojo class, all 6 variable and its getter and setter method. Students marks mapper uses the row mapper of Spring JDBC.core, which maps all the property of Pojo class with the database column. So your ID, SNAME, age, SID, marks, year, all these are the column. And with the help of setter method, all the Pojo class data member is having getter and setter method. So using setter method, you are setting those result set related values. Now you can see here, we are having student DAO, which is giving the listing or only the prototyping of your method. And in student JDBC, we will use JDBC template of a Spring framework, right? And we will perform the transaction and all in this code. So you can see here, I have a method, public class student, sorry, I have a class public start student JDBC template, implement student DAO. So all the 3 data methods, that is create, set data, store, and list student, I'll implement here. Fine. List students, I'll implement here. So this is list student, public list student marks. It will return you entire list of the student marks objects. So you are saying select string SQL is equal to select star from student comma marks. Can you see this is join? This is join, which
Join.
is we call the equi join. There are various types of join. This is equi join. What is equi join? Equi join is the join performed over the common values. Over SID is the primary key of a student, and ID is the primary key of student table, and SID is the primary key of marks table. So I said select star from student comma marks, where SID marks, where SID student.id is equal to marks.sid. As we have common, both the ID are same, where we will get the things in the output. And finally we said return those student mapper class, and student mapper class will use those setter method, and it will set the data variables inside the student marks Pojo class with the help of setter method. Setter method always takes value in the argument. Here we are saying result set. Result set is which result? Select star from join query, and it is being passed as a row over here. Now once it is done, we will talk about the second method, which is data source. In data source method, we have set data source as an object, and this data source is coming from the application context file. As well, we have JDBC template, which we are using because we are using the Spring framework. So this JDBC template we want to apply on this data source object. As well, we have set transaction manager. Transaction manager will take care of entire asset properties management of your transaction. And now we are creating the create method to insert a record. So we are taking name, age, marks, and year, only 4 variables. Because in student table, ID is auto increment, so we do not have to take. And in marks table, we are taking the last inserted ID. That's why we do not want the SID or ID column in this argument. Now we have taken a transaction definition. We said a new definition, default transaction definition, and transaction status. Status is equal to transaction manager dot get status. And now we are doing the try catch. You see, our transaction will have 3 queries. SQL1, insert into student, S name and age. This is prepared statement, but you are not writing the 5 JDBC steps. Instead, you are writing JDBC template object dot update. So dot update will update your query, your result set. Your database instance. String 2, SQL2, select max ID from student, last inserted record, you will get the ID. You are saying integer ID is equal to JDBC dot template object dot query for int, and you are running it. Finally, we are having SQL3 insert into marks, SID marks comma year, 3 values, right? So we said over here we have SQL comma SID SQL3 because it is holding the value of those record. So marks comma years and the SID marks and year. And finally, we said created name and age, and we are committing the transaction. So transaction manager dot commit. In case if there is exception, we have to roll back. We know that, right? All the 3 queries has to be executed. Otherwise, if there is a problem, then try block will not be executed. Will be at the catch block with the data access exception. So we say an error in creating record rolling back, and we are saying transaction manager dot roll back. Fine. So this is how we can go with the query. Now look at the application context, bins application. Here we have mentioned bin data source. So it is driver manager data source. Talking about driver manager class, com.mysql.jdbc, URL, JDBC colon MySQL colon localhost colon 3306 and database mu. Username is root and no password. This is transaction manager, which is built-in class of the Spring framework, right? And this is bin ID JDBC template, which is working with the data source and transaction manager. Now, all the background things are set. We need the main class, or we call the driver class. The driver class is the main application class having the main method. So here we have created that class. And to run this, we need to read out the application context, which is our bins.xml. And to access it, we will take class path XML application context. I guess my screen share has gone. Just a second, guys. So many students have taken in project the DAO class. I guess now you will be clear what is data access object. So this is my main application, right? Having the main method. we say public static void main application context is equal to new class path application context, which is reading our configuration file where we have defined all our bins. Now we are creating JDBC template method object, right? And we are inserting the record. So we are calling the create method from JDBC student template. Let me call the values, which is not there. I'll just take few students name from the list. That is, let us say Michelle, we have Prachi, and we have Ronak. Okay, these students are there in the meeting. Fine. And I'm inserting the age, marks, and year. Name, age, marks, and year. This will given to the create method. And in create method, we will perform the transaction. And finally, we are listing all the records. So right now, if you like, once the records are there, it will take it from the JDBC template list students. List students is performing select star from students and returns us the listing of student marks object. So we are assigning it to the student marks object. And we have taken a for loop, right? Which is displaying the record of the table, which is mapped as a student marks array of object. So we have taken a for loop. We said student marks object, and we use colon, which is student marks. So this will be treated as in your class object array. We are saying record dot get id. So it calls all the getter method. This record will call all the getter method. So try to understand the importance of your POJO class. The setter method will use at the time of insert, and the getter method will be used at the time of select. Fine? Fine. So if you look at my database, I don't have entry for Michelle, Prachi, and Ronak, right? There are 7 students. Their names are not there. Now I'm running the main app class. One more thing, you required in library all the Spring related jar and MySQL connector, because we are going to connect to MySQL database. So run the file. And can you see Michelle, Prachi, and Ronak are added? Fine. So if I browse, you see this is the entry, Michelle, Prachi, and Ronak, as well in the marks table also. The ID 7, 8, 9, 8, and 10 are there. Understood? Everyone? Any query? Any doubt? Anyone?
No, ma'am.
Fine. So that's it for my side for the Spring unit. If you have any question or doubt, you can ask your query now. If you look at the syllabus, we are talking about Spring, where we have started with Spring introduction, architecture, where we said there are more than 20 modules. We discuss about Spring MVC modules. Today we discuss life cycle of bin factory. We said init and destroy are the 2 methods which we specified in bin. You can specify any name. Then we have explore what is constructor injection, what is dependency injection. So DI can be implemented using IOC, and we can use the constructor based or annotation based dependency, right? Then we discuss about what is inner bin, what is aliases in bin. We said bin within bin is the inner bin, and alias bin is the second name given to your bin. Then we talk about the bin scope. We said default scope is singleton. Other than that, we have 4 more, that is prototype, session, global session, and request. Then we said Spring annotation. We can use the annotated notations for clarifying your class behavior. We talk about Spring AOP, fine, and we study about Spring DAO. I created an interface and I said we will implement it. We have seen the example of transaction management, and for the crude operations, right now I have shown you the insert and select, right? Rest of the things you can see from this, like There are, this is very good example using the Hibernate and Spring MVC has been given as well. These are the other good resources to understand your chapter. So I want you to go through it. Whatever is the needed thing I have discussed, but still you can explore it more. So that's it from my end in unit 7. Do you have any question or query in any of this topic? Anyone? No doubt. Okay. Still, you can read it out, and after reading, if you face that you are having the difficulty, you can raise your queries. Okay. Fine. So let's stop here.